Fredrickson. I'm a certified counselor for drugs and alcohol. I own Pacific Rim Consulting. And I'm a baseball fanatic. What inspired me to go into the mental health field was I graduated in May in 2005, and in July I received a phone call that was devastating to myself and to my family. My brother, that is 1 year older than me, had passed away from a heroin overdose. He and his roommate were shooting up in their apartment and got a bad batch of black tar heroin and had killed both of them. At that point, I thought I had one of two options. I could put on a cape and fight crime and probably not be very successful considering that I'm horribly out of shape. Or I could go back to school and try to figure out how to prevent people from going down the same road that my brother had went down. A road that is quick and easy to fall into. So I chose to come back to Idaho State University and to receive my certificate in counseling, specializing in substance abuse. What I do is I'm actually a licensed counselor there. I provide cognitive behavioral therapy. So what my belief is that every human being suffers from 10 twisted thoughts or distorted thinking. Those 10 twisted thoughts, every human, not just someone with substance abuse problems, not someone with mental health problems, every human suffers from a twisted thought, right? These 10 twisted thoughts. For example, one of them is jumping to conclusions, right? How many times have we sent a text to someone and 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, 30 minutes goes by, and by the time they finally respond, we thought for sure they hated us, they were mad, we'd done something horrible to offend them, and we probably were gonna lose a friend over this, right? And it would just so happen that they were in a meeting and just couldn't text us back right away, right? That's jumping to conclusions. That's us thinking that something has happened when really nothing has happened. That's a twisted thought, that's a distorted thought. Well, unfortunately for someone who has a substance abuse problem, that might be enough to trigger them to start using drugs and alcohol, right? Oh my gosh, my friend hates me, or she's cheating on me, or he doesn't like me anymore. I'm gonna get drunk and or high, or both, right? So looking and exploring those thoughts, having that person take a minute to take a step back and say, whoa, time out. Am I just jumping to a conclusion? And is this really worth wrecking my sobriety because I'm jumping to a conclusion that's not warranted? That's what I do at Pacific Rim, is I help people understand those thought processes. We explore those 10 twisted thoughts, and we help them be able to overcome those 10 twisted thoughts, or at least be aware of them, to help them stop allowing them to dictate their life. Yes, this is founded on Dr. Burns' theory of cognitive behavioral therapy. Dr. Burns said, you know, not only do I believe that every human has these problems, but I believe that talk therapy can help you overcome these problems. Dr. Burns wrote a book called Mood Therapy. You can buy it right now. You can buy it on your Kindle for I think $4 now. You can buy it at mass market paperback for $7, $8. It's very widely accepted. So we talked about jumping to conclusions. I definitely personalize, right? Personalization is another one. I personalize so much, right? So if I see someone over there talk, oh, they must be talking about me, right? or well, you know, they're looking at me weird. You know what? Yeah, you know, I'm sitting there watching a commercial. The guy says, "Are you overweight?" I'm like, "Hey, who are you talking to, buddy?" You know, I mean, personalization. The other one is overgeneralization. This is whenever you hear the terms always and never, right? If someone says, "I will always do this," or "You'll never do this," that's overgeneralized. That's not true. Only Sith Lords deal in overgeneralizations, right? So overgeneralization is one I'm horrible at. I'll be watching late night TV. The guy comes on and says, "You'll always have a clean house if you use the ShamWow," right? Well, I gotta have a ShamWow, right? You'll never have a dull blade, right? You can cut through a tomato, a door, and then a tire, and you'll still have a sharp blade. Well, I gotta have that because I'll never have a dull blade. You know, really, when's the next time I need to cut through a door and or a tire and then a tomato? So it's overgeneralization. Discounting the positives. Oh, this one plagues so many people that I work with, right? So you know what? I've had people that are an accomplished pianist, right? They're just a wonderful pianist, but they make one mistake during their recital, one mistake, and that's all they focus on for days and weeks. I have the mom that comes in and says, you know what? I've put my kids through school, I've done this, I've done that, but there was a period in her life where she wasn't the greatest mom. And that's all she thinks about is that one period, despite the fact that her son is now a CEO and her daughter now runs a nonprofit, right? Yeah, but discounting the positives. The last one that I would say kind of plagues a lot of people and really gets them in trouble is emotional reasoning, right? If you let your emotions make your decisions, well, it's a good deal. I need 3 of those, maybe 4. You know, I don't know when I'm gonna need 4 of those shirts, but it's a good deal, right? My emotions are telling me that's a good deal. Let's do it. So emotional reasoning is another example. Like I said, there's 5 more. So yeah, it's a really complicated question, how I see substance abuse in Pocatello. Really what I see is a slippery slope that occurs in Pocatello. In a lot of the bigger urban areas that we work with, it's readily talked about. You know, someone has a substance abuse issue. There's not the shame that's attached with it. There's not the secretiveness. It's a reality, right? When you get into the rural Idaho, or the not so, I mean, just our typical Idahoans, the Western frontier is what I like to call it. The Western frontier, there is shame associated with it, right? It's a secret thing. You know, I'm one in a million that has this problem. No, you're not. There's a lot of people that have this issue. You're not alone. So the problem that I really see with the substance abuse issues here in Pocatello is it's kind of almost like a secret. No one likes to talk about it. It's very taboo. It's very voodoo. No one really likes to be around it. So the other problem that we have is that because of the nature of substance abuse, it has become kind of viewed as a moral issue, right? If you do drugs, you're bad, right? You're a criminal. No, I tell everyone that walks in my room, I don't work with criminals. I work with people that have a hard time making good choices. You know, if cake was illegal, I'd have a lot more people in this room, right? So the way I think that substance abuse can be talked about more in our culture is we need to get away from the moral view of substance abuse. You're not a bad person if you have a substance abuse problem. The reality is that all of our brains are made up differently, right? Perhaps you have a chemical imbalance in your brain. Perhaps your body isn't like someone else's body. Perhaps maybe you're self-medicating, right? There's talk therapy, there's medication that can maybe help you feel what you might consider normal. And that's the other thing too, is we've got to kind of eliminate what's normal. A lot of times we as a society deem one thing normal when the reality is maybe that's not normal. So eliminating some of those barriers that prevent us from communicating about substance abuse and helping people understand it's okay to deal with this issue. This isn't a quiet demon, this is a real thing. I think the best way to make it easier to talk about mental health is to help people realize that the brain is just like any other part of the body, right? What happens a lot of times is people come to me and they talk about their hurt elbow, proverbially speaking, right? Not their elbow, but reality it's their foot that's hurting. But we'll fix their elbow. We like to do that in our society. Really, it's the mental health issue that's making it so we're not as productive at work. We're not doing what we need to be doing. We're not a successful parent, or we're not having success in our lives. And we'll talk about all the reasons for that, but the mental health component. I just think we need to overcome that fear of saying, no, really, I'm struggling, I'm depressed, I'm sad, this time of year is rough for me. It gets dark really early. I don't see the sun when I go to work. I don't see the sun when I leave work. There's things that are there. That's your body. Your brain is as much a muscle as everything else. You've got to be willing to talk about your brain. So I think helping people understand that mental health is just as much as important as talking about someone's pancreas with diabetes, right? How can we help that person with diabetes? How can we help their insulin problem? How can we help this person with this mental health problem? Instead of kind of institutionalizing it and saying, oh, well, those are unique people, or moralizing it, right? A little more Jesus would get them right. I've had that happen. I've had someone come in and say, well, if they would just go to church, this would all go away. That's not always the case. I believe that a miracle is something that can't be explained. I really believe that. And I've seen people that have become miracles because I can't explain what just happened. I can't explain how they came to me believing that there was nothing worthy in their life, that they had no reason to live. The life had become so unmanageable that they didn't care anymore. They didn't care about anything. And by having talk therapy and recognizing their distorted thinking, to see them become someone who says, I have a meaning, I have a will to live, and I have a purpose on this earth. That's a miracle to me. That's rewarding. I've seen people that become they come to me, I call them, the light's been turned out, and to watch the lights get turned on, to see them light up, to be energized, to be excited, to become an active part of society because they've figured out what they've been trying to do to self-medicate it. They've figured out how they can become a better person. That's an awesome experience. To me, that makes it worth it. I think going back to asking the question, how can we make mental health kind of a subject? I think that we have to understand that everybody needs to be listened to. The biggest fear that people have is that they won't be missed. That's the biggest fear. right? If I'm gone, if I leave the situation, no one will notice. That's a fear. And I think the way that you help people overcome that is just by listening to them, right? You will be missed. So I would encourage anybody and everybody that hears this, listens to this, is a part of this, to take a minute and just listen to someone. Just listen. Listen to their story. Listen to what they have to say. Everyone's important. Everyone has a story. Just take a minute to listen to it. And when you do hear their story, validate it. That's cool. That's great. Hey, thanks for sharing that with me. That was cool. I'm a better person because you took a minute to share that with me. Just listen. That can make a world of difference. Sometimes when you hear things, you'll hear a cry for pain. You'll hear a cry for meaning. Tell them there's people out there that can help you. There's people that can help you figure that out.